Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. The first action, are there any additions to the agenda?
Yes, Chairman, there's one. There's a request for a letter. It's along the lines of a letter you previously sent related to Victims of Crime Act funding. The request came in late on Friday. It's consideration and approval of a multi-county letter to Governor Newsom to increase VOCA funding in his 2024-2025 May revise.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion to accept this item?
Move to approve.
Move to approve, and then
Move
we have
to accept the item.
the item because of the timing and
Move to accept the item because of the timing.
Yep,
nature
Chair,
of
and
the
maybe
action.
as listed on number one on that basis. Sounds like that's the motion.
okay, very good. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Bobby McCauley,
Yes.
David Rogers,
Yes.
Robert Boythris.
Yes.
Motion approved 3-0. 2 absent.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Council, would you read the closed session items into the record?
Yes, Chair, members of the board, there are 4 items listed on your closed session today. The first is Government Code Section 54957.6. That's conference with your labor negotiators. The agency designated representative are Mr. Begay, Ms. Carter, and the employee organization is all units, excluding elected officials in the classification of unrepresented employees. There is one anticipated litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9. Significant exposure to litigation under paragraphs 2 or 3 of subdivision D of that Government Code section, and there's just one case. There are 2 public employee matters under Government Code Section 54957. The first is a performance evaluation of the Director of Behavioral Health Services. And the second is the public employee employment discussion of the Human Resources Director. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public that have a comment regarding these closed session items? Hearing and seeing none, we will go into closed session.
I'd like just to announce for the record that we have 4 supervisors present. Supervisor Letty Gonzalez is now present.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to a regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, April 16th. Council, are there any reportable actions that need to be reported out of closed section?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from your closed session. However, all items weren't able to be discussed in the first hour of your closed session. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move now to open and close the meeting in memory of. Are there any individuals that my colleagues would like to remember at this time? Seeing and hearing none, we will go to the invocation. We have Pastor Joe Alicia from Awakened Church, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody stand, please?
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Supervisors. I'd like to start by reading an excerpt from Psalm 37, verse number 3 and number 4. Trust in the Lord and do good. Then you will live safely in the land and prosper. Take delight in the Lord, and it will give you the desires of your heart. Verse number 5, commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust him, and he will help you. Father, I thank you, Lord. Thank you for your love, and thank you for your favor, and thank you for your grace. Thank you for the privilege to be part of this great community. Thank you for our government and the officials, Lord, men and women, who give their lives to the service for a town and for a community and for a county. Lord, I pray that in this meeting, Father, that you guide it, Lord, that you allow us to think and to process and give us the wisdom to make the decisions necessary to be done. Lord, we're a people that trust you in all that we do. I pray as a result that you bless this county and bless the people that call this place home. I thank you for all that you will do today. Thank you for our Board of Supervisors, the employees of Madera County, Lord, the city and all the city of Madera and all the cities within the county. Lord, I thank you for blessing us because we trust you first. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Okay. Very good. We will now move on to public comment. And as a reminder, the first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record. Are there any members of the public that have a comment? You know, we're going to have to remember this day, April 16, 2024. No public comment. But we've got a lot to talk about regardless. So that's great. As you know, we're always available to for you to anybody here to reach out to us, our office, or personally, and so we're happy to respond. So let's move on to the consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that a colleague of mine like to have pulled for further discussion? Supervisor McCauley. Oh, you're just moving to, okay, very good. Well, let's go to the public. Are there any items on the consent calendar that a member of the public would like to discuss further? Seeing and hearing none, I'll bring it back for action at the board.
Move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Motion approved 4-0, 1 absent.
Very good. Thank you very much. Let's move to discussion items, and we're going to just take one item out of order, 6C, and move it up because we need 4 votes, and we've got some other things going on today. So go ahead and read into the record 6C.
Consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 23-112 in the amount of 1,888,000 derived from deferred maintenance capital projects funds, buildings and improvements to ST other for fiscal year 2023-2024. 4 votes required.
Very good.
All right. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Anthony Loza, County Administration, General Services, and Janelle Clark, Facility Superintendent. So the item we have before your board this morning is a request to approve budget adjustment 23-112 in the amount of $1,088,000 from the Deferred Maintenance Fund for critical repairs to our jail facility. These repairs are essential to ensure the safety and functionality of the facility for both staff and inmates. As you may recall, the Deferred Maintenance Fund was established in October of 2022 with a one-time funding allocation from the state to assist the county with unfunded capital improvement projects. And now Janelle will go over some of those projects that we're proposing.
The first item will be like the roof restore. So, and that will basically be removing all of the existing roofing and replacing it and upgrading it. It's not a full removal or a new roof, but it is a full restore of the existing roof. Bulletproof glass in the lobby area. So that would be installing new bulletproof glass, bulletproof walls, and bulletproof doors. A hot water tie-in in their lobby area. I'm sorry, not in the lobby, in their hallway area. They had an old existing hot water system that served the kitchen. The kitchen is no longer in use, and so that system is no longer operational. So this would be tying into the renovations of what was previously already done into the jails to be able to get them hot water in their holding cells, right? So then there's a backflow preventing system that needed to be installed that would basically does not allow any contamination into the backflow into the domestic water system. A tankless hot water heater this is for the lobby area for the staffing, right? I'm sorry, for the locker rooms of the staffing. And then a refrigeration monitor system that is old and going out. So basically what that does is it prevents any kind of leaking of the refrigeration system to all the HVAC systems that could be causing a hazard in health to all of your clients and your staffing. So these are some of the big part of the major repairs that we need to do with the allocation of those funds.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good summary. Are there any questions regarding this particular item? If not, are there any questions or comments from the public? We don't have any, so I'll bring the item back for
I
action.
move to approve the item.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Motion approved 4-0, 1 absent.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to circle back now to item 6A.
Presentation of proclamation recognizing April 2024 as Alcohol Awareness Month.
Good morning, Connie Moreno Peraza, Director of Behavioral Health, Madera County, Chairman Porters, members of the board. It's an honor to be here today to celebrate April as Alcohol Awareness Month. I know several of you are always advocating for us to help our youth remain healthy and thriving. Sadly, there continue to be the demographic that gets impacted by the use and overuse of alcohol. So we have a proclamation for us to present. I have Maria Barragan.
Good morning. April is Alcohol Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness and understanding of alcohol use and misuse. It offers community a chance to gain more understanding of how individuals struggle with alcohol use and offers resources and support. Whereas alcohol is a primary factor in 4 leading causes of death of persons aged 10 to 21, and the most commonly used addictive substance in the United States. And whereas young people who begin drinking before the age of 15 are 5 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence than those who begin drinking at the age of 21. And whereas the typical American will see 100,000 beer commercials before she or he turns 18 years of age, and whereas alcohol use interferes with cognitive and neural development during adolescence and impairs the development of frontal lobe of the brain, which controls high order ability and such abstract thought, impulse control, and decision making. And whereas kids who drink are more likely to be victims of violent crimes, to be involved in alcohol related traffic crashes, and to have serious school related problems. And whereas a supportive family environment is associated with lower rates of alcohol use for adolescents, and whereas consistent and sustained parental attitudes can influence a child's decision about whether to use alcohol and drugs, and whereas kids who have conversations with their parents and learn a lot about dangers of alcohol and drug use are 50% less likely to use alcohol and drugs than those who do not have such conversations. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Madera County, State of California, joins the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, Inc., in recognizing April 2024 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Madera County, and encourages all citizens to support efforts that will provide early education about alcoholism and addiction and increase support for individuals with families coping with alcoholism. Through these efforts, we can provide hope, help, and healing for those facing these challenges.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any comments from my colleagues regarding Alcohol Awareness Month? I thank you for bringing this forward. You know, it's interesting, and I think, you know, it's one of the things you talked about, parents talking with their kids about the dangers of alcohol. You know, it's got to be kind of confusing, I think, sometimes for kids because they see all these commercials, they see their parents drinking, they see, you know, all kinds of mini marts, and every time you go in a restaurant, there's a bar and this and that. So what's wrong with alcohol, right? You know, it's promoted. In fact, later on, we're going to be taking a look at an item uh, the regarding off-sale beer and wine license. So it's really important. It's one of those things that you know, we really need to teach our kids and young people that it's you know, everything in moderation. In fact, sometimes even south of moderation is the best thing. But it is a probably very confusing thing because it's widely accepted, and yet it's a poison.
And then the other thing is in some cultural or some social events, I mean, I've seen a kid as young as 4 years old where grandpa or whoever's drinking a beer and they sit on their lap and they're drinking. So, and then in some cultures, acceptable to have a meal with wine. So we have to be very careful and thoughtful about some of the cultural differences that do exist, but we do want to make sure that folks understand the brain does not fully get developed till later in 20s. I think the insurance companies are probably the smartest ones. They don't rent to folks until you're a certain age because they know that your executive functions get affected, but the brain gets affected, and then learning, right? Everything else. But yeah, we do want to thank you for your support. I know that our young people are very important. We will have some activities as well, and our first youth summit. So we have a lot of activities. We'll forward that information to you as well. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any members of the public that have any comments regarding this item? If not, we do have a proclamation, and it's already been read, so we'll just make a presentation. Everybody join me. we're going to move on to a presentation recognizing, oops, that's your job. Sorry. I was taking your job.
No,
6B.
I'm not offended. Presentation recognizing the Workforce Development Board of Madera County for being recognized as the Valley Small Business Development Center's Partner of the Year.
All right, very good. So what I like to do is I see that we have we have our A team from the WIB and Workforce Development Board of Madera County here. So I'd like to have you come up and describe a little bit about what this recognition was all about.
Sure. Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Minu Vang, your Executive Director with the Workforce Development Board of Madera County. So we were honored to receive this recognition from Valley SBDC as Partner of the Year. Each year they hold their annual SBDC luncheon. They select businesses of the year representing the 4 counties of Madera, Fresno, Kings, and Tulare. They also select a stakeholder of the year and also a partner of the year across the 4 counties. And so this year, we were recognized, the Workforce Development Board, as SBDC's Partner of the Year. And the luncheon was, I believe, held on March 21st. And it was just a really good opportunity to just showcase and highlight the work and the partnership that we have with SBDC. SBDC is co-located in our one-stop center off of Cleveland. And so individuals are able to access these resources for small business as well as entrepreneurship. And so, as I mentioned at the luncheon, this work cannot be done alone. And so I would like to thank my staff, who I also have with me here today. Would like them to introduce themselves as well in a bit, but also my Workforce Development Board and members, and of course, all of you for your continuous trust and support. Any questions about the event?
Very good. Well, thank you, Minu. And I would just like to mention that I had an opportunity to attend. It was really great, as well as our assessor, Brett Frazier, who has served for quite a few years as chair. And it was really good. Rich Mostert, who heads up the SBDC in Fresno and Madera counties and some other surrounding areas, mentioned that for years he's been wanting to get back to Madera because he actually kind of professionally grew up in Madera with the not so much the chamber, but the EDC. And that's where I first met Rich. And so for years, he's trying to be back here under the SBDC, and he's looking for space. And so he reached out to Minu and said, "Hey, can you give me some space?" And she said, "Yeah, we've got some right here at the Workforce Investment Board." And he says, "Well, so what would be the cost or whatever?" And she said, "Well, there's no cost." And he says, "You know what? That's what I'm looking for." So it was worked out really well for him, and very appreciative. And we've really been able to ramp up the efforts for workforce investment. So why don't you have some of all your staff and your teammates run up here?
Members of my management team, and then members of our business services team that works directly with our employers and understanding their needs.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. Bertha Vega, the program manager for the Madera Workforce.
Jessica Roach, controller for the.
Good morning, Marisol Rivera, program supervisor.
Good morning, Eric Flores, Program Navigator, Madera Workforce, and I play matchmaker between businesses and job seekers.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, Nikki Martin, Executive Assistant to Minu, and I clerk for the.
And you make sure the meetings happen, and there's going to be quorums, and all those arrangements are are set up for those on Zoom, and so great job. So with that, are there any questions from my colleagues or comments? How about somebody from the public? Well, these are, again, it's a great team. They're all stars. I wanted to make sure that they were recognized. And so let's go ahead and join us here in front as we present a proclamation. We have a number of public hearing items, but those are scheduled for 10:30. So we're going to skip public hearings momentarily and move on to pending legislation and item 8A.
Discussion and consideration to authorize a letter of in opposition to SB 964 as introduced by Senator Zayarato
There you go.
relating to tax defaulted property sales.
Good morning, Chairman and board members, Giovanni, County CAO. This particular bill is brought as the author's perceived solution for a court case out of Minnesota where someone's property was taken. Based on the information we've got from the Treasurers Associations and from our legislative advocate in California, it actually makes the process in some ways less fair because there's more than one way to sell property, and this eliminates one of those methodologies. So the letter is just a recitation of why we would oppose that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions, comments from my colleagues? Any members of the public? Seeing and hearing none, I'll bring the item back for action.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers,
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress,
Yes.
motion approved 4-0, 1 absent.
Very good. Thank you. And then we will go to item 8B. We'll call it 8B.
So 8B is a late addition to the agenda. It came to our attention late Friday afternoon. It's part of an ongoing effort that the board has previously approved letters of support for. Previously on, let me look here, I think it was on the 12th of March, you approved a letter related to some legislation that's being introduced that supports funding of the VOCA, which is Victims of Crime Act. This particular letter being drafted by the same group, which is would be 4 counties if the board approves it, Tulare, Kings, Fresno, and ourselves, along with a number of community-based organizations that provide victim services. This is a letter drafted to the governor with some of the same facts in it about why we would support increased funding in VOCA. And as you know, it is a rough budget year at the state level. So the group felt that it was a good time to send the governor a letter asking him to increase the funding for VOCA in his May revise. And that's why we added it today, because I'm not sure that your next meeting will beat his May revision, because you don't meet again until the 7th of May.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions regarding this letter? Are there any members of the public who have a question regarding this letter of support?
So the ask on behalf of staff, Chairman, is that since this is a draft, that you would allow for any non-substantive changes to be authorized by the CAO and to continue to use your electronic signature to go with the electronic signatures of the other three chairpersons from the other three counties.
Okay, very good.
Also move.
A
Okay.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0, one absent.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you. Let's move on to supervisor and staff reports. I'll start to my right. Supervisor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be attending CSAC this week. I'm the representative on the board of directors. I will be taking that meeting remotely because I'm coming back when all the meat of the meetings happen on Wednesday and Thursday, and I'll be doing the board of directors meeting remotely and representing Madera County. I also wanted to share that I believe it's the Department of Child Support Services does a this would have been the second year that they are having a kickball tournament for charity. The event was canceled on Saturday, and the board of supervisors didn't have a team. I think Supervisor Poythress and I were signed up. I don't know, Bobby, if you were able to, but we couldn't make up a team. So this is my open plea to ask any department heads or professional soccer players or kickball enthusiasts to join our team because I think it's been postponed till May, and I really want to play. And if there's a team out there that needs a player, then I'm happy to sign up. But I really do want to put a team together on behalf of the board. So this is your open call to contact our office, and we'll put a team together, please. I'll buy you lunch.
There you go.
I'll buy pizza. That's my report. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, there's got to be some people who have some NCAA experience in kickball out there on staff, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's Supervisor Bob.
Yeah.
I too will be attending CSAC. Looking forward to participating in the Agriculture, Environmental, and Natural Resources Committee, where we'll be talking about Cal OES email reimbursements. Also wanted to make note, we had a great event up in District 5 over the weekend for our Mountain Area Youth Organization. They hosted their second annual Youth Ambassador Dinner, where we had speakers from 6 different school sites attending. We were also able to get an update on some of the activities they're doing with the Mountain Area Youth Organization. Proud to say they're serving over 1,000 kids up in District 5 as of this last year. So really proud of the work they're doing.
Thank you. Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, we hosted a Measure T town hall at the Station 3 firehouse, and they delivered some good information to the public, so that's always helpful. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Very good. And I'd just like to mention, last week I attended a lobby day for the California Van Pool Authority. It's an authority that many people have not heard about, but it's right now we have about 1,000 vans around the state that are transporting workers from their homes and cities to the workplace, primarily agriculture. There are some that are used for prison workers, but that's primarily what it is. And it's been around for roughly 12, 14 years. It had its start back about 20 years ago, but with 1,000 vans, there have been up to this point no fatalities with people traveling in these vans. Their vans are safe, the drivers are vetted, and the riders have to wear seat belts. And if they're not wearing seat belts, then the driver can be removed from his responsibilities. And so it's a great program. There's a lot of demand, and I can't help but think about the tragedy that occurred here in Madera County about 7 weeks ago on Fireball Road, where 7 farm workers were killed, in addition to the driver of the pickup that rammed into him head on. And talking to the CHP officer at the scene, he mentioned that the farm workers were all thrown from the van. None of them were wearing seatbelts, and I don't even know if the van had seatbelts. So I can't help but think if these riders were in a Calvan's van, if some of their lives could have been saved. And anyway, it's a great program. I'm serve on the board. I'll be chairman starting in May, and we're looking to really ramp up operations. With that, Mr. Varney.
Going along here, a traffic idea there. If you're not aware, the northbound traffic pattern on CA 99 at Avenue 12 is probably going to change on Thursday. It'll be an interesting thing to watch. It looks like it moves left fairly rapidly before it moves back to the right. So if you're traveling northbound, just be aware of that change in the traffic pattern. One other thing I wanted to share was as part of the facility that the board had approved for public health and behavioral health services to co-locate just south of the current public health and DSS campus. We applied for a grant through, it's got two names here, through the California Strategic Growth Council through their Community Resiliency Centers program. And it was a multi-layer process. And we've been advised that on the 24th of April at their meeting, they intend to give us $10 million. So that will be used for the architectural and some of the other design work there at that building. As you know, building buildings in this current age with the prevailing wage and everything else, it's very expensive, but we're certainly excited to be in the final of that. It won't be official until the board takes their action on the 24th of April in Sacramento. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. That's really good news and much appreciated. Thank you. Council.
I'm volunteering to join the team. If you,
Yay.
I'm not saying I'm good, but I can help you maybe get the numbers on the team. If there's a date, I'll find out and put it on my calendar. That's my report, Chair. I'm going to also sign the liability waiver and make sure that I don't get injured.
Excellent, excellent.
Voluntary.
Were you all star kickball in high school or something, or?
Absolutely not.
No,
but
not. Okay.
I'll
Good.
bring soda for the pizza.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Clerk of the board.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, very good. It is now time for public hearings, and let's move on to, we'll start in order with 7A.
Introduction of an ordinance adding chapter 3.90 to Title 3 of the Madera County Code, renewing the Madera County Tourism Business Improvement District. Waive the reading, set the second reading for May 21st, 2024.
Thank you. This is the time and place fixed for the public meeting related to the proposed renewal of the Madera County Tourism Business Improvement District. The proposed business improvement district will levy assessments on all lodging businesses located within Madera County to fund marketing and visitor programs to promote Madera County as a visitor destination. These projects, programs, and activities will benefit the lodging businesses located within Madera County. I will now ask the clerk to report on the notice of this public hearing.
The notice of the public meeting and distribution of the resolution of intention has been completed in the manner and form as required by law.
I will now ask staff to provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay Varney, your CAO. This is the introduction of an ordinance adding chapter 3.90 to the Madera County Code, renewing the Madera County Tourism Business Improvement District. And Rhonda Salisbury is here to also answer any questions that the board may have related to this renewal.
Good morning, Rhonda Salisbury, CEO of the Visitors Bureau. Thank you for having us here again. We're not asking for any action today. It is just the meeting, but we'll be back on May 21st to vote, hopefully in favor of our renewal. And I just wanted to report that I'm really excited. We have over 70% approval, signed approval so far. And I have a lot more to get. So I'll just keep going. So anyway, I'll be here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
And Chair, just clarification, there is request for action on the ordinance, and I think Ms. Salisbury is referring to the resolution implementing the business district that will come before you in May.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
What she said.
Okay, good. Very good. Right. And so this is the public meeting, which is required by law. At this meeting, the Board of Supervisors shall allow public testimony regarding the district. No action regarding the establishment of the district shall take place at this public meeting, as has been mentioned. The public hearing will be held on May 21st, at which time the board will take any additional testimony. Opportunity for written protest is being provided. If at the time of the public hearing, a majority written protest does not exist, the district shall be established. So this is the end of the staff report, and the board will open this item for public discussion and will hear from any interested person who desires to address the board on this matter. And so we'll open it up to any public testimony at this time, and we'll we'll follow the rules that we have regarding public comment with 3 minutes. So is there anybody from the audience or from the public that would like to provide any public testimony? Go ahead and come on up. Just need your name and county of residence. And believe have sign into the sign-in sheet.
It's behind him.
And if there's anybody else like to provide public comment, go ahead and feel free to line up and or if you don't want to, you don't have to.
And Scott, for the record, the Sugar Pine Railroad is in Madera. Is that correct?
Off. There we go. How about now? Scott McGee, the general manager at the Sugar Pine Railroad, and we're here on many different levels. Just to get a little history walk down the road, our railroad was part of the California Lumber Company, and then the Madera Sugar Pine and Flume, and then Madera Sugar Pine. Madera County exists because the railroad brought lumber down the hill and then the Flume, and they made it this middle of nowhere that eventually became Madera. And so Madera and wood and lumber and everything is very strong ties to the railroad. We're one of a big economic generators in Madera County. We love the Visitors Bureau. If you haven't seen their guidebook that they put out, and it gets distributed all over the state, but all over the world, anybody who wants one, if you open up the inside cover, there's a really beautiful picture of a train. That is the Sugar Pine Railroad. It's the Stauffer family has had it since 1965. They saved it from being scrapped. Interesting enough, the actual last Madera Sugar Pine locomotive was scrapped in Fresno about 10 years earlier. So close to having a piece of Madera history. We love the Visitors Bureau and the fact that they are a great economic generator for Eastern Madera County. Our owner at the railroad was one of the first people that actually helped create the Visitors Bureau back in the day, 1987, when they first started this whole process. So we have a strong, long connection with working with it. I myself are a member of the Visitors Bureau. I'm the treasurer, just in full disclosure mode. And love the fact that the money that's raised by the tourists that come over here help improve the greatest industry that's happening in our Eastern Madera County, and then Madera County too. It's not just focused on the East, but they do a great job of even supporting Madera and Chowchilla as part of the Visitors Bureau. What I would like to say is I've seen it over the last 30 years of really growing Oakhurst and Eastern Madera County, Bass Lake, the surrounding areas where you could definitely see when the tourists come, the town is alive and vibrant. The tourists go away and things really slow down. The Visitors Bureau works really hard so that Madera County is at the forefront year round and not just during the times when it's busy. I've seen it in Oakhurst of opening new businesses and new restaurants in town that actually have sustainable throughout the entire year. We're thankful to be a great partner and want to express our interest and support towards the Visitors Bureau. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
My name is Nikki Thomas, and I'm Fresno County, but I have a cabin at Bass Lake, so Madera County as well. I'm a single VRBO, short-term rental, and I also appreciate the Visitors Bureau. However, the extra 0.5% that they are wanting to increase is what I'm opposed to. I'm not opposed. We already pay an extra 11% taxes of anything that we make. They want it to go to 11.5%, and I'm just opposed to the 0.5% because we pay taxes every time we turn around. We're paying taxes. We have to pay fees. We have a assessment coming for the water treatment. It just seems like everything is going up, and I'm opposed to the 0.5% increase. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I better get closer. Good morning. My name's Michelle Miller, and I'm from Miller's Landing up at Bass Lake. And I'm just here to express my support for the Visitors Bureau and everything they do there for our business and other businesses. Bass Lake is also, a large generator of economic income for our county, and we certainly couldn't do a lot of what we do without the Visitors Bureau, and that includes promotion and also beautification and just general support for everything we do up in the mountains. So I am also on the board. So again, full disclosure, and I'm on the board because of what they do. I am proud to be on this board, and I just know that speaking as a business owner, what they do for us is invaluable. So I appreciate them and want to express my support. So thanks for having us.
Very good, thank you.
Hello, I'm Deanne Smith. I'm the owner of Discover Yosemite. And I just want to echo what Scott and Michelle have already said, but also it's not just the lodging that benefits from the visitors, but all the other activities. Because of the Visitors Bureau's efforts, we have restaurants that are open year round where for not only the visitors, but for the general public. So it supports everyone. And I'm also on the board. And I can tell you that the funds that they receive, they spend very well and in support of peace.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that wish to provide public comment? Is there anybody online? Okay, very good. Seeing there is no one else. Yes.
I apologize. Before you close the public hearing, you might have announced this, but there were a written letter dated April 14th, 2024 that has been asked to be part of the public hearing testimony. And I believe there's a copy for you available for the public as well. It might be the only one. I'm looking at the clerk.
Right, yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you. Seeing there is no one else who wishes to be heard, do any members of the board have any questions for the staff or consultants as a result of public testimony?
I just want to state that, I think that the Visitor Bureau does a great job, and I've been involved with them since I've been on this board. And I just think that the investment is exponential in return, and it's directly proportional to the amount of investment. So it's important that we continue to invest in that regard. It directly impacts each and everything that was talked about here. Even for the opposition to understand that the the return is commensurate with the investment, the amount of investment. And the one lady made the statement that things are going up. Yes, things are going up. Everything's going up. So the investment's going to have to go up to compensate for the loss, or we're going to get behind in the investment. And that's the way that's the way it is in life. Many times we've had to raise fees, even in the maintenance districts, that we don't like raising fees. I don't like raising fees, but PG&E goes up every so often, and every time it goes up, everything goes up, right? So I mean, there's nothing that's static, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Inflation has got a hold on things, and we need to keep up with it in other regards. So anyway, that's my comment.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any other members of the board that have a comment? If not, we will close the public meeting. The item will come before the board for a public hearing on May 21st, as long as we take action, which is the introduction of the ordinance.
I move to waive the reading and set the second reading for May 21st, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Motion approved 4-0, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to item 7B.
Hearing to consider adoption of a resolution approving the application of Precision Civil Engineering for a general plan amendment, GP 2023-002, pursuant to section 65-358 of the government code, from A agricultural to VLDR, very low density residential tentative parcel map, PM number 4300, and negative declaration number 2023-19 under the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act to divide a 12.52 acre parcel into 4 parcels, 3.66 acres, 3.86 acres, 2.5 acres, 0.5 acres, and 2.05 acres. The parcel is owned by Mina Eger Israel and is located on the north side of Avenue 11 1/4, approximately 0.19 miles east of its intersection with Road 32, 315 Avenue 11 1/4, APN 047-140-018.
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax with Community and Economic Development. And I also have Jacob Aragon here with me. He's a planner. He's been with us for a couple of years. I'm going to briefly go through the item with the PowerPoint presentation, going over some of the details. As mentioned, this is a general plan amendment in a parcel map to allow for the division of the property into 4 parcels. A negative declaration was prepared in support of the project. And as mentioned, it is located on the north side of Avenue 11 1/4, the Trigo area near Madera. As you can see here, the designation for the general plan is currently designated as ag. You do have some very low density residential just to the south, which is the proposal for this particular development. And then also the zoning map, which is already RRS2, which allows for a minimum acreage of the 2 acres. So with the proposal for the general plan amendment, the zoning would then be consistent with the general plan designation. As you can see here, this is the proposal tentative parcel map into the 4 parcels. They all will have one common access from Avenue 11 1/4. There will not be individual driveways coming off of the county roadway. And then they will individually have driveways off of that short cul-de-sac. Just a brief analysis, it's a general plan amendment to the very low density residential, which will be consistent with the Trigo area. The proposed common access road will be constructed to a minimum class 3 road standard. And also the Planning Commission did consider this item and they recommended a condition of approval that the Department of Toxic Substance Control did provide a comment letter right before the Planning Commission item that a phase 1 and phase 2 ESA be completed prior to parcel map recordation. It was circulated internally and externally, and we only received comments from internal departments. As mentioned, the Planning Commission did hold a hearing on the item and voted in favor to recommend to your board the general plan amendment, parcel map, and the CEQA documentation. And with that, staff does support Planning Commission's recommendation as well, and we're available for any questions.
Very good. Thank you very much. Are there any questions of staff? Yes.
Chairman, I actually have a question only because it's a holdover from my old employment. Jamie, who's required to maintain the shared driveway? And do all of the property owners share equally in keeping it clear, et cetera? I just know history tells us that sometimes shared driveways create headaches, but this looks like a great design. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, they'll be required to come up with some type of mechanism to maintain the internal roadway.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from staff? This is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public that have a comment regarding this item?
My name's Holly Strobel. I live in Trigo, and this is going to impact my residents, considering moving from agriculture to low density. Sorry, a little nervous. Sure. Great at talking in public as well, but I'm worried about the impact to our roads, our water. I've talked to Jordan Wamoff numerous occasions about getting roads repaired in the area. There's dirt road across from the area where you're planning on doing this building. They don't have the funding to do a road in that area. So it's potholes. It's bad for our vehicles. When I talked to Jordan, there was no money, no funding available for roads. I asked for help with community water source because a lot of people are on wells and we don't have a lot of water. So as I'm passing through to come to this meeting, I see mobile homes on this site. There's several mobile homes already parked, ready to go for this. If we do that, then that could be 8 mobile homes within these 4 parcels. Because of the ADU units that could be possible, that could be 40 more people living within these homes. If you consider 4 people to a home and 8 homes, that's possibly 40 more vehicles on the road, 40 more people consuming water. On the way here, just passing, was the water vehicles as well. That the county has to provide water for. So because of the wells going out, I ask that you do not approve this. It's one thing to add on to one property, but to divide it into 4 when you don't have the community funds for anything that we have in our area already should be stopped. Thank you. Sorry for the babbling.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jeannie Chidisco. I've been I've lived in Trigo for over 46 years, and it used to be a really nice neighborhood. Never locked our doors, never locked our cars. It's changed, and I don't like seeing more homes being put in, and the homes that they're putting in are going to be the mobile homes that are parked already behind this property as it is right now. We can see the tops of them from the road. my well went dry and several other people's wells went dry in the neighborhood, and we just don't have the infrastructure to handle 4 more or 8 more homes being put in. And they're, low quality homes. They're already moving in some ugly single wide motor homes around in the neighborhood that I don't think are permitted as well. I just would hope that you vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Tom Harsh. I live north of 12 acres there. I don't know where they're figuring on putting the mobile homes. It's got to be on the higher ground because the lower ground is, I've seen it full of water. I've been there since 1990 and I've seen a lot of water and so forth. The mobile homes have got to be 20 years old. I know he's been working on them for quite a while, but when I put mine in, it was, you couldn't have a mobile home, couldn't build, have a mobile home that's over 9 years old to come into the county. These has got to be 15 or 20. He's been working on them. They look like hell. And he is a very good carpenter, I have to say. But still, the water situation is not good. There are several people that's on delivered water. And I heard that the people on the corner of Iowa had to go 600 feet deep to get water. And from what I have heard, which is probably BS, but they are going to have a different type of septic system. And I'm just kind of curious. And they're going to rent the mobile homes, from what I understand. I talk to people once in a while. I heard that they're going to rent them. And that just puts more people in the area that's not nice. You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say, but it's fly by night outfit, to be truthful. I don't care. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment during this public hearing? Anybody online? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back for action with the board. Yes, Supervisor.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions on this parcel. They say there's already mobile homes out there, but are they correcting a violation? Is there a violation?
No, Mr. Chairman and board members, there are no current violations that we have on record that have been reported to my department. So they're not, if there is, we are not aware of it.
Okay. Also, if this subdivision is granted, the individual parcels, they'll have to pull permits for each of those parcels, and we'll have to drill separate wells, and we'll have to pay impact fees, which will take care of the roads in that region. Impact fees have to go, those roads will have to be repaired as a result of the impact fees. Am I correct?
Yes, Supervisor, you are correct. They're all required to obtain permits and pay impact fees for capital facilities and road impacts.
And
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just one additional item. It is looked at this also have a shared well rather than 4 separate holes in the ground out there. So that's a pretty common thing that we look at on these small parcel maps, so that you minimize the amount of.
Are they drilling a new
wells.
one?
Yes.
Okay.
So it would be done via a shared a well. That they also have to comply with the sewage disposal and have a system on site for those. In regards, I just wanted to clarify one thing in regards to the road impact fee. Those road impact fees go to specific regional roads in the county, such as Avenue 12, 41, and a number of other roads throughout the county. So not specific necessarily to this area, but certainly within the region. Clarify that.
They'll have to improve their approaches, though. They'll have
correct. Yeah, and they will be constructing a new So I know we had a conversation about the driveway. It's actually a new roadway that would be constructed serving this parcel, and that maintenance of that facility would be borne by these parcels out.
Okay. Another aspect that I've been studying recently on a lot about state law has changed significantly, superseding CCNRs and superseding any previous actions of subdivision constrictions on APUs. Or, ADUs, I'm sorry, not APUs. Additional dwelling units is what I'm talking about. And so that has become quite a focus of the state. And I'm not sure that we have any kind of a precedence that can overrule that at all. It's become apparent that the housing shortage has driven the assembly and the legislature to pass those kind of superseding laws, because that really jumps in the middle of property ownership that has been of record for years and years when you talk about CCNRs, restrictions, that kind of thing. Is there any precedent in that law regarding mobile homes versus stick-built, stick-frame houses?
Thank you, Supervisor, for the comment. No, there is no restriction. The zoning does allow for either a stick-built home or a manufactured home, as long as it meets building code.
Okay, and that's not everywhere in the county, is it?
It is not everywhere in the county. Well, any zone district that allows for a residence allows for either a stick-built or a single-family dwelling.
So,
Or, I'm sorry, a mobile home.
so even in regards to a CCNR where there's a restriction on the type of building that can be built, does that get superseded as well?
There are guidelines such as the accessory dwelling unit or ADU guidelines that you spoke of. My understanding is those guidelines are in state law and do, even though we are not a party to those HOAs and CCNRs, they do supersede those CCNRs.
Okay, so essentially you can build almost whatever you want, put whatever you want in those circumstances.
Correct. And it helps us to reach our regional housing needs assessment numbers.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you. Supervisor McCauley?
Yes, thank you, Chair. A couple quick questions. First one is, exactly how many units are they going to be able to build on each of these parcels if it's approved?
Per state law, they can build one single family dwelling, one accessory dwelling unit, and a junior accessory dwelling unit, which is usually inside the primary. So it would be 2 per parcel, so long as they have adequate sewer and water area to serve all of those residences.
And then as far as water and sewer, we circulated this to regional water quality control as well as environmental health.
Correct.
Did we receive any comments from either of those agencies?
No, just standard conditions of approval from environmental health to meet codes.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'll accept the motion for action.
I'll move to approve.
I'm going to second it, and I'll state my reasons why. I think I already did pretty much with my questions. State law has pretty much identified this as a target, and it needs to happen. So.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress?
Yes.
Motion approved, 3-0, absent.
Thank you. Let's move to item 7C.
Hearing to consider request of Oasis Management LLC for a letter of public convenience and necessity to obtain a type 20 off-sale beer and wine license to allow the sale of beer and wine at an existing retail store. The property is owned by Bass Lake SPE LLC and is located on the south side of Road 274, approximately 90 feet east of its intersection with Road 434, 39744, Road 274, Bass Lake, APN 070-111-018 is zoned PDD for Planned Development District.
Very good. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jamie Bax again with Community and Economic Development, Jacob Aragon from Planning. As mentioned, this is a request for a letter of convenience and necessity to send to the Alcohol Bureau at the state level. Again, this is at Bass Lake, south side of Road 274 and Road 434. This is for a type 20 license, which is off sale, which allows for the customer to come purchase and take it off of the property, not to consume on the property. Again, as mentioned, you can see the general plan designation is residential in this area. It's existing facility, and it is zoned planned development district. The census tract is quite large, as you can see here, census tract 1.02, so it does capture a very large area all the way down to the valley floor, which is the reason why they've come before us for this letter of convenience and necessity. The next slide does show some of the current licenses within the area, which are predominantly the Bass Lake area as a resort area. As mentioned previously, this is a type 20 type license. Some examples you would see would be grocery stores, convenience stores, and other similar. So there are 3 type 20 licenses. Census tract 1.02 is permitted to have 3. 11 have been issued. So this is just a recommendation for the additional. And with that, staff does recommend the approval of the signing of the letter of convenience and necessity, and we're available for any questions.
Very good. Thank you. Before we open up the public hearing, are there any comments, questions from my colleagues?
Just one, Chair. So for clarification, this is the type 20 allows them to purchase it on premise and take it off premise.
Correct. They cannot consume on premise.
So, and just for clarification, we're getting some shaking of the head here, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
You know, are there any other questions from my colleagues before we open it up for the public hearing? Seeing and hearing none, let's go ahead and open up the public hearing. So we just, if you could sign in and then state your name and
Good morning. I'm the general manager of Bass Lake SPE LLC, aka Outdoorsy. It is an
in your name?
Kim Herrera.
Okay, thank you.
It is an off sale. It will be in our retail store for sale. Now they can take it off site, but they also will take it down to their RVs, I'm sure, and drink it. I just wanted to clarify that it will be consumed on the property by the guest.
And I think that's important, and it kind of feeds into one of the points that I was trying to make, because I admittedly I did receive an email from someone across the street at the RV park that's concerned about this, and what I explained to them is that when we have these types of activities going on, it's much better that they occur in a controlled environment.
Exactly.
You know, growing up in the mountain communities, I did not partake myself, but I know there were plenty of young adults or teens that would go up into the woods, you know, just outside Bass Lake, and they would have fire pits and loud parties and all sorts of things. And I think doing those sorts of activities again in a controlled area, like your resort, I think is the kind of thing that we need to promote, not discourage. So just wanted to make that point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Are there any other public comments? This is a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say, for the purpose of the ABC license, the point of sale is the premise. This is within a park, as Supervisor McCauley noted, so those folks are fine assuming at their individual sites.
Okay, very good. Thank you. If there's no other comments, we'll close the public hearing and bring the item back for action by the board.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Motion approved, 3-0, 2 absent.
Very good. Thank you. 7D.
Rezone Garland Russell Shaw Oakhurst. Hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance approving a rezone number 2023-004 from our rural residential single family 2.5 acre district planned development district. Hearing to consider adoption of a resolution approving the application of Garland Russell Shaw, sorry, it's a tongue twister, for general plan amendment GP 2023-006 pursuant to section 65-358 of government code from rural residential to community commercial, rezone and conditional use permit CUP number 2023-010 and approving a mitigated negative declaration number 2023-28 under the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act. The property is owned by DeVito Michael and is located on the north side of Bayleaf Lane, approximately 560 feet west from the intersection with Highway 41. No situs, Oakhurst, APN 064-020-006. The size is 35 acres.
Very good. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, last item, Jamie Bax again with Community and Economic Development and Jacob Aragon with Planning. As mentioned, this is a project to allow for a warehouse facility in the Oakhurst area. A mitigated negative declaration number 2023-28 was prepared in support of the project. As mentioned, it is located just off of Bayleaf Lane, approximately 560 feet west of its intersection with Highway 41. As you can see here, this is quite a large parcel, planned rural residential. The proposal would be to allow for the commercial development and an amendment to commercial, in addition to the Oakhurst area plan, which also designates it as residential. Current zone district is rural residential, single family, 2.5 acre, and the proposed district is to a planned development district, where the applicant defines their development standards, setback height requirements in accordance with their site plans. As you can see here, the area is not being split. There's not a proposed split, but you can see the area, the 15.27, which is off to the southeast of the property, is the area where the project will be located. This shows a site plan of where the facility will be located on the site, and also a floor plan of one of the storage buildings, which is vacant currently here. You can see an elevation rendering of what the proposed structure would look like. And this is the larger warehouse office floor plan. You can see there are some office spaces in addition to the open warehouse. And the next slide does show an elevation plan for that proposed warehouse. And just a brief analysis, again, this is a general plan amendment and a rezone, will remain as one legal parcel. It's just the portion where the project will be located that's proposed to be amended. The warehouse will house a pectin plant, and it was circulated to internal and external agencies for comment, only received comments from internal departments. There were supporting technical studies prepared in support of the project as well. This actually is the second reading on the rezone. The Planning Commission did consider this project and recommended 5-0 in favor of the rezone general plan amendment and conditional use permit. And with that, staff does support the application as well, and we're available for any questions.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any questions before we open up the public hearing from my colleagues? Seeing and hearing none, this is a public hearing regarding the rezone and the conditional approval of the conditional use permit. Are there any members of the public that have a comment or like to elaborate on this item? Seeing and hearing none, and I believe we have nobody online, we will close the public hearing and bring the items back for action.
Would move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Motion approved, 3-0, 2 absent.
Very
you.
good. Thank you. Great presentation. We have exhausted all of our items on the agenda other than going back to closed session for items that we may not have finished discussing. So we will now move into closed session. And if I don't see you when we get out, have a great rest of the day.